So, welcome back to our Business Leaders Guide to IT webinar series. In the first episode, we looked at disaster recovery and business continuity planning for your business. And a large focus of that was on IT security from the perspective of cyber events, so a hacker. In part two, we're going to look at, is your business a high value target to hackers? And there's a lot of aspects to this, ranging from email attacks through to viruses. And Broden, just generally, what are some of the industries that we see that are most susceptible to hackers and cyber events of this nature?
So I would say that the most high risk categories at the moment are places like real estate agents, law firms, accounting firms, basically anyone who's at any point handling large transactions of money, especially if they're once off transfers of things like house deposits and investments and stuff like that. So there's no one industry that is at more risk than others, but there are ones that the attackers sort of cycle through attempts at targeting and they're after everybody. I mean, when we ask the question, am I a target for hackers? I guess the answer to that is always yes.
Yeah, always yes. Yeah, for sure. And as you say, we do see that some targets are seen as softer than others, maybe. And we'll get into a little bit about why that is and what we can do to protect your business. So what are some of the most common ways that hackers would gain access to a system?
Yeah, so I would say that the best way to sort of, in your mind, as a non-tech business owner, the best way to think about this sort of thing is the fortress ideology. Every business is a fortress. Some are bigger than others. Some have lots of people in them. Some have very small amounts of people in them, but they all have treasure. As business owners, we all have certain kinds of treasure, whether it be intellectual property or actual financial money. But what they all have in common is they all have a certain amount of treasure, which is attractive to invaders from the outside. Whether or not you've got a large hoard of gold or you've got a small hoard of gold, at the end of the day, you've got gold. So you're a target.
Still a target.
That's right. You're a target regardless. The best way to think about this is, okay, I've got my business, which is a fortress. I need to add layers of fortification to the outside so that by the time any sort of attack tries to happen to the core business, which is in the middle, any of that valuable stuff is protected by layers and layers and layers of security.
Yeah. And so what would some of those first layers of defense be on that fortress?
Yeah, so in my mind, the place you want to start is, okay, what is the sort of lowest barrier to entry, the easiest thing to implement that is going to have that is going to cover a large amount of surface area. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be effective for 70% of the time, and that could be something like endpoint security. So making sure that an antivirus solution of some description is installed on every machine in the organization. It's no good if you've got 10 machines and 7 of them have antivirus, 2 of them have antivirus, but it's completely out of date, and 1 of them has nothing. That defeats the entire purpose. So something like that, an antivirus solution that is up to date, it's managed by someone, whether that's a trusted technology partner like Clarity, or if it's an internal person who is sort of getting the alerts when something does happen. That would probably be the moat on the outer reaches. It's all the city wall. It's really something that's a broad attempt at stopping most things. Then as you come inside, you start to become more targeted. A layer inside of that might be email security. We've seen a large percentage of attacks come from breaches as a result of someone clicks an email and it automatically executes. And all of a sudden you're infected with a virus and everything's crypto locked, for example.
Yeah, always with the best intention. Staff obviously can be tricked. The hackers are quite sophisticated with these things, so it's quite easy to accidentally click on a malicious link and download some infected software, which is where you're really relying on that endpoint antivirus security to save you.
That's right. Another sort of thing that will fend off attempts at also is what's called whaling. So if you were to conceptualize whaling as using the Fortress methodology, a whaling attempt is where where an invader outside of the fortress sends a message into the fortress pretending to be the king, and he says, "Hello, loyal subject. I would like you to please drop down the drawbridge and bring me out some gift cards for the Apple Store." And that's essentially what it is. It's someone on the outside pretending to be a higher up. Usually they're an owner, a director, someone quite important, a CEO, for example. Usually they get their names scraped off a website somewhere. A bot has gone and grabbed a name and a contact email address, and they send a message inside saying, "Hi, can you please transfer me all of this money?" And the loyal subject, not wanting to do anything wrong and just knowing that the owner is a very busy person, quickly does it, goes, grabs a gift card, gets it done, sends the money out, it's gone.
Yeah. And myself as a receptionist or an administration assistant, I just want to please the owner, and I've been told a very important message: I must act right now. So I go and do it without a second thought, and suddenly $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 is transferred to a hacker.
Correct. So these are all things that the majority of attacks are going to happen when someone inside the fortress lets down a defense. They're asked to lower the drawbridge, so to speak, which circumvents everything that you've put in place to defend on the outside. So the more you can do, the better, is what I would say.
Yeah, and so through that analogy, we're protecting the end users from ever having the opportunity to make those mistakes. So if we have implemented an effective IT security solution that includes email security, it includes antivirus, the email security solution might prevent the vast majority of those whaling attempts or those phishing attempts getting through to the staff, which means they never have the opportunity to click the malicious link anyway. If they did happen to get an email that was infected, because nothing is ever 100% perfect, then antivirus endpoint protection would come in, that when they did click that malicious link and download that software, the endpoint protection would be that other layer that Broden talks about that would prevent the execution of that issue. And there's some really cool stuff in the email security in particular that I find quite interesting about sandbox environments for executing these URLs in a safe way to determine if they're malicious or not. Can you give us a quick overview of what that looks like?
Yeah, so a lot of the security packages that we provide to our clients are packages that include what's called a sandbox environment. If you think of a sandbox as somewhere that you can go and play and build things, destroy things, have things go wrong, and it really doesn't matter to anything outside of that sandbox. The same applies with this sort of thing. So a user clicks a link, the security solution that we have in place detects, okay, something is on the other end of this link in this email. I'm going to go off and execute that link in my sandbox environment and see what happens. If the result of that is good, I allow the end user through and they see the website and happy days. If not, if I'm unsure of what that is, I display a warning, and that warning is typically a sign for the end user to say, okay, am I expecting this email? Is it from someone I know and trust? Can I verify over the phone to this person that I've just got this email from? Hey, did you send me this? Like, is this legit? And finally, if it executes it and it finds something bad, it can just block you completely. So it's just another really, and all of this happens, by the way, within seconds. You know, this is not I've clicked a link and then I'll go get a coffee and come back and it will let me through. You know, this is all sort of, this isn't disrupting staff productivity or anything like that. It's really a proactive attempt to make sure that anything trying to get in is stopped before you can reach it.
Yeah, no, perfect. So that's really an overview of some of the IT security features that you can implement. If you had some questions around IT security in your business, and if your business is a high value asset to hackers, get in touch. We do offer a complimentary IT health check where we cover off your IT security footprint. We can identify any gaps that you might have there and also provide a report and recommendations on how to mature your IT security. Feeding into part 3 of our series in the next installment, bring your own device policies. Are they a friend or a foe in your business? This has become quite popular with our clients, particularly as people work from home and become more mobile. Staff can access files from their laptops, their tablets, their mobile phones. But all of this can be for naught without a robust policy. So next installment, we'll look at those bring your own device policies in your business. We'll see if your policies stack up to be able to defend your business. If you don't have the rights to install antivirus software on those computers and prevent against data loss, then there's a bit of an issue there. So part 3, are bring your own device policies, friend or foe in your business. Join us next time, and thank you, Broden, for your insights on today's question. Are you a high value target for hackers?
No props.